if you have a child with a woman, even if you have to leave that woman, you don't leave the child.
The fascinating commentary from Senate candidate Herschel Walker, who really wants to win that Senate seat in Georgia. So while he says all the right things to appeal to Republican voters, while he attacks absentee fathers, while he purports to be against abortion, take a good hard look at how he has conducted his own life, how he has treated his own children, and you'll see a different story. In fact, the Washington Post spoke to the woman he had urged to have an abortion after he got her pregnant, the woman he paid to get an abortion. And she had some interesting things to say about how she had to take him to court to pay for child support for the other child, the child that they had together, who is now a 10-year-old boy. Remember, Herschel Walker had all these children he didn't tell us about. We had to learn about it through reporting. And this 10-year-old boy happens to be one of them. And so the woman sued Walker in New York in 2013, according to this Washington Post piece, for child support after he allegedly refused to provide it, according to a person familiar with the case, who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive details. Walker, who now says he's a multimillionaire, said in that case that he made about $140,000 per year. So let's back up for a minute, because it's kind of hard to keep track with all these children that he's abandoned and tried to hide and the abortions that he paid for. So let's just try to get the timeline correct. So back in 2009, he got not one, but two women pregnant, okay? One of the women he had succeeded in convincing to get an abortion. He promised to pay for that abortion. That is the woman who's been speaking to the media. That's the woman who came out recently. We don't know her name. She's, which I think is smart considering how vicious Republican voters tend to be. I don't want her to deal with the harassment. But nonetheless, she didn't even know that that same year, Herschel Walker had gotten another woman pregnant. Okay. Now, after she had agreed to get the abortion, which he paid for, she got pregnant again from Herschel Walker. And he urged her to get an abortion again, but she refused to. So she had a child with him, who is now a 10-year-old boy. Now, I should note that Walker has reported, he did so back in August of 2022, that he had income and assets worth between $27 to $59 million. Those are his financial disclosures. So the idea that anyone would have to take him to court to pay child support is insane. And I mean, I would venture to say that that is an absentee father to the extreme. But he has no problem judging other fathers, right? While he lives in that glass house. In fact, after Walker pressured her to get an abortion and said he would pay for it, she even had to keep nagging him to actually pay for it. Now, this is in 2009, during the recession. This woman had lost her job. And she says, when I talked to him, I said, you need to send, I can't afford to pay for this, the woman said, adding that she also told him, quote, we did this too, both of us did this. We both know how babies are made. And again, she was unemployed at the time due to the economic recession. She also had no idea that Walker had impregnated another woman. The woman who lived in the Atlanta area at the time said she became pregnant when she was unemployed and had less than $600 in her bank account. Walker sent a $700 check via FedEx about a week after the procedure, the woman said. The Post reviewed an image of the check that was printed on an ATM slip, this is important, with Walker's name, signature, and an address associated with him at the time. It's amazing that he keeps denying this, and we'll get back to his denials in just a moment. Like, this evidence is just, you can't deny the evidence, it's there. It's got his name on it, it's got his signature on it. But it was posted 9 days after the check. It was posted 9 days after the woman said that she had an abortion. Walker also pressured her to get an abortion a second time. She wouldn't do it, which is why they have a child together. And he did an interview with ABC where he recently accused this woman of lying, despite all the evidence that's been presented. So let's take a quick look at that video.
So I didn't know who it was until last week. And I went, oh, and I said, that's not true.
If I can just get you to say a yes or a no, did you ever have a conversation with this woman at any time about an abortion?
No.
Did you ever, to your knowledge, give money to pay for the cost of an abortion?
No.
Is she lying?
Yes, she's lying. Yeah, she's lying. Yes, she's lying.
This same woman says that you have a 10-year-old son who you've only seen 3 times. Is that true?
Well, that's not true. I've seen him a little bit more than that. But that's one of the things I don't get into because they make it difficult for me to see him.
Oh, it's her fault. It's her fault? They make it difficult for me to see him. I'm sure that this woman doesn't want her son to have a relationship with his father. I'm sure that's what it's about. You know, the same guy who hid all these children that he's had from the public, secret kids, you know. Because he loves his kids so much that he decided to lie to the public about his existence. And I love how the story changes, right? Like at first he doesn't know who the woman is, now he does know who the woman is. And what are you exactly implying here? Considering the evidence that's been presented, that's been provided to prove her story here. Are you accusing her of forging your signature? Are you accusing her of sending herself a get well card with your signature on it? Did she somehow access your bank account and send herself a check with your signature on it, forging it? I mean, he's just flat out lying. It's amazing. He's just lying. And more importantly, while he has no problem running a campaign that has a platform that would ban abortion, knowing full well that he paid for abortion once it was convenient for him. Like, you have Republicans still endorsing him, still pushing for him, still stumping for him. That just happened recently, in fact. Senator Rick Scott, who chairs the National Republican Senatorial Committee, I mean, these are the most right-wing politicians. Rick Scott and Senator Tom Cotton appeared at a rally for Walker in Georgia. And of course, Trump has had discussions about coming to Georgia for a rally in the final weeks before Election Day, because it was never about abortion. It was never about a genuine, sincere, ideology that believes life begins at the moment of conception. It was always about power. It was always about galvanizing religious zealots to give Republican politicians an edge in elections. It's all about power. And for the religious zealots, it's all about control of women's bodies, of women's lives, because let's keep it real. Reproductive freedom is economic freedom. And they don't like the fact that economic freedom means that women can be independent, they can make decisions about their own lives, their own bodies, and their own futures. I mean, you heard Dennis Prager during his debate with me on this very show. He can't stand it. He wants women in the household. They love that 1950s style nuclear family where women were miserable, had no power, had no independence, couldn't even take out a credit card without permission from their own husbands. And many of them, miserable at home, resorted to all sorts of drugs to ease the pain of the inequality they were dealing with. The right-wing religious zealots in this country long for those days. It's about power for politicians, control for religious zealots, and it has no place in America. And the fact that they have someone like Herschel Walker promoting these policies when he himself has this past is incredible. Now I want to go back to the rally that Tom Cotton and Rick Scott appeared at. Because while they're standing beside him, Herschel Walker decides to share some weird story. And it seems like he really sees himself in the story that he's telling. So let's take a look at what he had to say.
As they've been saying, something is better somewhere else. And I'm here to tell you it's not. So I've been telling this little story about this bull out in the field with 6 cows. And 3 of them are pregnant. So you know he got something going on. But all he cared about is kept his nose against the fence, looking at 3 other cows that then belonged to him. Now all he had to do is eat grass, but no, he thought something was better somewhere else. So he decided, I want to get over there. So one day he measured that fence up and he said, I think I can jump this. So that day came where he got back. And he got back, and as he took off running, he dove over that fence, and his belly got cut up onto the bottom. But as he made it over on the other side, he shook it off and got so excited about it. And he ran to the top of that hill, but when he got up there, he realized they were bulls too.
I mean, what? I don't know what that was. I don't know what that meant. But seems like he saw himself in that bull, getting the cows pregnant and running away from them, running away from responsibility, running away from, taking care of business like a real man. And today he stands there presenting himself as the moral arbiter, as the individual who has great advice for men. Don't be an absentee father, even though I'm an absentee father who had to be taken to court to pay child support. Don't get abortions. Abortions are bad, even though I paid for abortions myself in the past. He's a hypocrite. He's nonsensical at best. And there you see two Republicans who purport to want to protect life from the moment of conception, openly, transparently backing him, knowing full well what kind of demons he's got in his past, what kind of skeletons he has in his closet. That's the Republican Party for you. Because the one thing they understand, and they understand it well, is power. And they'll do anything to get it.